welcome to our cook along event. Tonight we will be making a lovely cauliflower and sweet potato curry along with your homemade naan breads. Now I'll have just put a photo up and you've already had the recipe, so you've got your ingredients list. We're going to make the curry, I'm going to cook the curry should I say before we cook the naan breads, but the first thing we need to do is just a little bit of preparation for our naans. Okay, we need to get the yeast activated. So to do that, what we need to do is add 100 millilitres of warm water to a bowl. Now this has to be warm because what we need to do is activate the yeast. Okay, the yeast is actually a living thing, it's a microorganism. Right now you could say it's dormant, it's asleep, okay, in the packet, and we need to wake it up. Okay, so we need to activate the yeast, and the warm water is going to do that. Okay, it loves warmth. Right, so I'm just going to sprinkle the yeast over the warm water. Okay, just like that. You don't need to mix it. We'll just sprinkle it. And we've got 2 teaspoons of sugar as well that we're going to sprinkle in there too. Okay, now we're going to give it some time to work and some time to activate. And you'll see it eventually start frothing and bubbling, and you'll smell it as well. Okay. So the yeast that I'm using is this fast action yeast. Okay, this comes in some sort of tin as well, or pot. If you've got the one that's in a pot, you just want a teaspoon, okay, a heaped teaspoon of the yeast, and you sprinkle that into your warm water. The sugar is there to feed the yeast, so that's the first bit of preparation we're done. Okay, we're just going to set that to one side. I don't know if you can see, it's separated. Where are we? There we go. Okay. We'll just set that to one side and leave it for about 15 minutes. Okay. Once we've done some more prep, it'll be ready to go. Okay, let's just move that. Okay, since this is a vegetable curry, we need to do our veg prep first. There is the option to add chicken, so you'll have seen that on the recipe. I will go through the recipe adding the chicken so everyone knows what to do, but I'll distinguish the differences. Okay. So first of all, I've got my cauliflower. If you are adding chicken, you only need half of this. I'm going to go ahead and chop the bottom off, get rid of all this waste. Now obviously, it's best not to throw it away. My rabbits eat this. If you've got some furry friends, they will love you for that. Okay, didn't go far enough. Through the bottom, all those leaves will come off. You can obviously compost these as well if you've got a compost bin. Okay, and we're just going to add half cauliflower because I am adding the chicken to this curry. If you are not and you're making the vegetarian version, go ahead and add all of the cauliflower. Okay, so I'll just pop this in half, move that to one side, save that for some soup or something else, or Sunday lunch. Or cauliflower cheese is a lovely side dish for things you can use it with. Okay, just take those leaves off, and I'm going to cut this into chunks. Okay, got a bowl here ready to just pop it in. Alright, it doesn't matter how you do it, I'll just cut it into chunks. And what we're going to do, might seem a little bit odd, but we're going to roast these. Okay, and I'll explain why shortly. Okay, so just chop them into nice sized pieces. Okay, what's that? About 3 centimetre piece. Okay, not too small because they'll just fall apart. But obviously you don't want them massive, you want to be able to eat them nicely. That one's a bit big, so I'll cut that in half. Okay, pop that into my bowl. Now I'm just popping it into the bowl because I'm going to season them with a bit of oil before we roast them, and it's just a little bit easier to do. Okay, so half a cauliflower, 1 sweet potato. You need to make sure this is properly washed, so I've given this a good scrub. Okay, because we're going to leave the skins on, you need to make sure they're thoroughly washed. And I'm leaving the skins on just because it's added flavour, it's added texture, and actually there's a lot of fibre in the skins of the potato. So again, I'm just going to dice this. Okay, now remember your chopping techniques. Alright, so you'll see I'm using the bridge hold there. Okay, so I'm creating a bridge with my hand. for the knife to go through so it's well away from your fingers. Now this is quite a small potato, so if you've got small sweet potatoes like mine, feel free to add an extra one. Okay, normally they're a little bit larger than this. Again, so I'll cut it into a nice slice. You see that? It's about 1.5 centimeters thick. Okay, again, bridge hold through. Okay, bridge hold through. So you cut it into a slice and then into like a thick chip, if you like. Okay. And then each one of those you're going to dice into a cube, and now you need to swap to the claw hold. So tuck your little fingertips in. Okay, so you're not going to chop them off. Tuck those under and into nice pieces, diced. Try and get them all evenly sized if you can. You don't want massive ones and then small ones, because they'll all cook at different rates. You might have a lovely soft one and then one that's really hard because it's a lot bigger than the others. Okay, you can do these one at a time, but I'm just going to cheat a little bit. Okay, so again, once your potatoes chopped and nicely diced, I'm going to pop it into my dish, and then I'm just going to season these and then pop them into the oven. If you've not done so already, now would be a great time to pop your oven on. Okay, we want that on 180 Celsius or gas mark 4. We're going to roast them for about 20 minutes until they're nice and soft. So in here, I'm just going to put a little bit of oil just so I can coat them, stop them sticking so much to the tray. And then I've got some salt and pepper, which I've already got mixed up in a tub. Okay, so that's just salt and pepper. Sprinkle that over. Now you can use a spoon if you don't want to touch it. I'm just going to use my hands to coat everything, make sure everything's got a nice coating of oil and seasoning. Okay. Now, the reason we're roasting, if you come across any big bits like that, look, you can just pull them apart. Okay, just split them in half. Alright. Right, there we go. So they're nicely coated, got a little bit of seasoning. We're going to pop them on a tray and we're going to roast them. Okay. Now the reason we roast our vegetables first is just because that it brings out a lovely sweetness to them. So you'll find that when you roast vegetables, they're quite sweet. Now we can, of course, and you can if you prefer, add the vegetables just like this into your curry sauce once we've done that. And you'll find that the cauliflower and the potato will absorb all of those spices and all of that flavour. But I just like to give it a little bit of extra. So we roast them first, it brings out a lovely sweetness. You pop them into your curry once it's cooked, and then you can really taste the sweet potato and the cauliflower. It just adds an extra element of flavour and it gives it more depth. Okay. So now they are coated and seasoned, I'm going to pop them all onto a roasting tray or a baking sheet, that's what this is. Okay, I'm just going to spread them around just in one single layer. You don't want them piled up. Now I've got a nice big baking sheet. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Hold on. A nice big baking sheet, so I've put them all on together. Of course, if you're smaller, you can put the cauliflower on separate to the sweet potato. If you'd rather, you can just roast the sweet potato, put the cauliflower into the curry, vice versa. It's entirely up to you. But I'm going to pop these in the oven now for 20 minutes while we start making the curry sauce. Okay, so they've just gone in the oven for 20 minutes. I've just cleaned down a little bit, tidied up, and got everything ready to start making my curry. So what you need now is 1 onion. Of course, you're welcome to add another one if you like onion. I've got a couple of cloves of garlic. I've got a tin of tomatoes, some tomato puree, some curry paste. Now, I already had some tikka masala. I find this works really well. Okay, so any curry paste really. That just saves you buying a whole load of different spices and putting them all into your curry. It's all already there, mixed with some oil, ready to go. I've got some mango chutney. Okay, this just adds a really lovely sweetness to your curry. Of course, if you don't like it, you can leave it out. You don't need to pop that in. And then I have got some natural fat-free yogurt. You can alternatively use fresh cream if you prefer cream. And just before we start this, I wanted to give you a little update on how the yeast is doing. So you can see now it's all frothy, it's activated. Okay, it's very frothy on top. Hopefully yours looks like that too. Okay, just leave that to one side, it won't hit anything. We will come back to that shortly. Okay, now for this little bit I have my portable hob here, just so that you could see what was going on and into the pan. It's quite difficult to set up my camera in my kitchen with my hob. Okay, so we'll pop it in here and then I'll transfer it to the hob and then we can do the naan breads on here too. Okay, so just to chop my onion, I'm going to take the top. You've got a top and you've got a bottom. Okay, so the furry bit, that bit's the root, that's the bottom, the other end is the top. So I'll just take the top off. Okay, and you've got a nice flat side, so stand it on the flat side, and then I'm going to use the bridge hold, cut through the middle, cut it in half, top to bottom. Okay, don't cut it across the middle, you want top to bottom. Okay, so if you chop the top off, it's a little bit easier. Then you're going to peel that. Okay, so peel it down to the bottom. At the minute we've not taken the root off, it's still there. Okay, it's holding it all together. So peel that down to the bottom. And of course, if you've got red onions, that's fine, you can use red onions, they don't have to be the brown onions. Okay, whatever onions you've got really. You can throw anything into a curry, let's be honest, it'll taste beautiful. Alright, so chop the top off my onions, I cut it in half, I peeled it down. What we're going to do is dice this. So I'm going to use the bridge hold, okay, and you can see it's kind of got lines on the onion. You see the lines? Use them as a guide, okay, so we're going to cut down, okay, down there. But we're not going to go all the way through. We're going to leave a little bit on the bottom so it's easier to cut across. So bridge hold like this, okay, I'm just going to cut down the onion. Now of course guys, I'm using my chef's knife because I've just grabbed it automatically, that's what I normally do. You can use a vegetable knife, okay, this is what we've taught you to use at school, okay, so it's probably a little bit easier to use your vegetable knife. Okay, so you can see I've cut down the lines about 1 centimetre apart and it's all still held together with the skin and the root on that side. Okay, switch to the claw hold, tuck those fingertips in and then just cut across your onion. Okay, you have some nice diced pieces. Now when you get to the end, okay, it's quite difficult to do this last slice without chopping your fingers, so swap to the bridge. Do you see that? Okay, then just do your final slice. And then this bit, the root, that's the strongest bit, so that's what's going to make you cry. So get rid of this as soon as you've chopped it up, pop it in the bin. Alright, there you go. So I'll just do the same with this one. Bridge hold, about 1 centimetre apart, don't go all the way through. Spin it around, claw hold, tuck your fingertips under. Okay, move it backwards as you cut. Turn it around and for the last one, swap to the bridge hold and do your final cut. Again, get rid of this bit, okay? In the bin, it's gone. Okay, so I've got some nicely diced onions, just break them up. Okay, so that's 1 whole onion. Move it to that side so you can see what I'm doing. Now, I've got 2 cloves of garlic, okay? Now, of course, if you've got a garlic press, you can use a garlic press. Some people find it easier. I have, but I'll show you how to do it without a garlic press. Okay, so you just want to chop the top and the bottom of the garlic. These do have skin on, okay, so you need to peel the skin off, and just chopping the top and the bottom helps you do that. Okay, so that one's peeled. Some of them are white, guys, some of them are purple. Don't just assume because it's white it's got no skin on it. Okay, peel that, make sure all that's gone. You don't want that in your food, it's not very nice. Okay, and get rid of the rubbish. Now, to get the most out of these cloves of garlic, we need to get as much flavour out as we can. So what I do, I use the flat side of the knife. Now do this very carefully. Ask permission, make sure you're supervised, okay? Or you can use a garlic press if you've got one. or if you're not sure on this, you can just chop it up really, really small, nice fine cubes. Okay, what I'm going to do first, flat side down, be a little bit of a bang. Okay, and I'm just going to press on this. I'm just going to hit it and flatten the garlic. Okay, just going to bang 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can see it's broken it all up. Yeah, and again I'm going to bang 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's broken it all up, and now it's easier to chop into really small pieces. Oh, again, okay, you can use, might find it easier to do it really small if you've got a smaller knife. Okay, tuck your fingertips in, get someone to help you if you need to. Okay, just chop that really small. You don't want big chunks of garlic in your curry. Okay, if you get a big chunk of garlic, it won't be very nice. Okay, so the nice small piece of garlic. If you want to, if you've got a nice big knife and you want to take this a step further, you can, what you do is we squash it, we call it mincing it. So we mince the garlic. So you can push, okay, flatten it and then pull it. So you're pushing it and pull it. And all you're doing is squashing all of those pieces. So all of that you've just cut up, we're squashing it even further and breaking it down even more. Okay? So you get lots and lots of juice from that. Okay? So there are your nice pieces of garlic. So that's the garlic done. Move that over there. Okay. Okay, so now your onion and your garlic is chopped and diced. Move my tin over. We're going to start cooking, okay? So into a saucepan or a nice wide pan like I've got here, okay? Or any pan really, just not a small frying pan because it won't be tall enough. Going to put some oil. There's about 2 tablespoons, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fry up my onions and my garlic. Okay, so I'll just pop my heat on. Going to put that on medium high. So this portable hob does make quite a bit of noise. Hopefully you can still hear me quite well. I'm still quite close to the camera. So into the oil, I'm going to gently place the onions. Okay. And I'm going to scoop up the garlic very carefully. And pop that in there. Get the rest of it. Okay, into your pan. And we're going to stir that around in the oil for 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Now at this point, can you see that okay? Let's move that. At this point, we're going to vary this a little bit and say, if you are adding chicken, now is the time to chop that up, okay, into nice small pieces. But once we've fried this for a couple of minutes, we're going to fry our chicken, okay, and seal the chicken in there, okay. If you're making the cauliflower and potato and you don't want any chicken, leave this part out, okay. Let's turn that down a little bit. Alright, so keep your eye on that, keep stirring it. Now for the chicken, we're going to add 2 nice sized chicken breasts, okay, and we're going to cut these up into small cubes, okay, small dice. So to do that, I'm just cutting through nice small thin slices first, alright, and then each slice I will cut across and make some nice small bite-sized pieces, okay. You don't want really big chunks of chicken in there. It's not easy to eat, and also it takes a long time to cook, okay. So I want to make sure they're nicely cooked. So if I just do this one on its own, you can see nice small pieces. I'd say about 1 centimetre dice. You see that? Where are we? About 1 centimetre, okay, nice and small. Alright, if you guys, quick tip, only touch the chicken, alright, with one hand, okay? Raw chicken contains food poisoning bacteria, and what you don't want to do is cross-contaminate. So you do not want to spread that bacteria around onto other surfaces or the chopping boards. You'll notice I've switched out my chopping board. Got my vegetable one over there, okay, and I've brought in my meat board, and I've got a different knife also, okay. Now I've not touched the chicken with this hand, which means I can safely pick up this spoon and mix around my onion and my garlic, okay. So be very, very careful what you are doing when using raw meat, okay. You really do not want to spread bacteria around and cause anyone to get food poisoning and be ill. Okay, so just chop those up. Nice small dice. And of course, guys, if you chop it nice and small, you feel like you've got more chicken too. Okay, so I'll just go through that really quickly. You can just do one at a time. Take your time. There is no rush. Okay. If you think that this has been on too long and it's going a bit brown, just turn it off, okay? Turn your hob off until you finish chopping your chicken, and then you can pop it back on again. There is no rush, okay? If you rush, you start thinking about what you're doing and you'll injure yourself, okay? Even more important when you're using sharp knives, put your fingers under, pay attention and take your time, okay? So, got 2 chicken breasts there, all chopped up. Now again, if you're not adding chicken, okay, miss this bit out. Okay, so miss this bit out. But I'm going to put my chicken gently into my pan. Okay, it's not on too high a heat, so it shouldn't spit at you. If you find it is, just turn it down. Okay, so I'll just pop it all in there. Alright, and then we'll give it a nice mix. Now all the flavours from the onion and the garlic will start to absorb into that chicken, start to flavour that chicken as soon as it starts to cook. So give it a really good mix, okay. Whilst that is on there, I'm going to get rid of my meat board. I don't need that anymore. I'll give my hands a really good wash, okay, and then we'll come back to the curry. Okay, so my hands are all washed. I just move this more into your view. There we go. That's better. There's the benefit of having the portable hob thing. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to stir this around. Sorry, I wobbled the stand there. Okay. Stir this around, and you want to cook this, okay, until your chicken is white. So it'll be white all over. It will continue to cook in the sauce, so you don't need to worry just yet about being white in the centre, but you do want to seal it, and it wants to be white all around the edges. Again, if you don't want to add the chicken, cut this bit out and move on to the next stage, okay, once your onions are softened. Now my 20 minutes is up on my timer on my oven, so I'm just going to turn it off, turn off the oven, okay. And they can stay warm in the oven until we need them. There's no harm in that. Okay, we're getting there, So, if I show you this, okay, this piece is white all over, okay. Show you the difference. You see this one, you can still see pink. Did you see that pink? Okay, all that pink needs to go. So we'll just seal all that up, turn this up a little bit. Then we need to get everything else ready. So what we're going to add into here, once your onions are softened or your chicken's white, okay, we're going to stir in some curry paste. Okay, you want about 2 tablespoons, so 2 big spoons of curry paste into your chicken. You'll stir it around, okay, cook it for a minute or so, you'll start to smell all the aromas. And then we'll add the tomatoes, the tomato puree and some water. We'll give it a good mix and it can simmer for about 10 minutes while we sort out the naan bread. Now remember, if you're leaving your sweet potato and cauliflower in the oven, to turn it off. Okay, turn your oven off, you don't want it to burn. There will be some dark spots on there, okay, it'll look charred and roasted. That's all the flavour that goes into your curry, that's beautiful. That won't taste burnt, okay, that's just charred. Okay, so now our chicken is white, I'm going to add 2 big spoons of curry paste. Okay. Now mix that around, give everything a good coat of the paste. Mix it into your onions and just cook that for a minute or so. That smells delicious now, guys. So all those spices starting to cook, all the aromas are coming out. You'll start to smell it. It smells beautiful. Okay, so once that's cooked off for a minute or so, we're going to add in a full tin of chopped tomatoes. Okay, carefully, don't splash it everywhere. Carefully lower it into the pan. Okay, a couple of teaspoons of tomato puree. Now I am estimating this because I've done this a few times, but you can measure it out. Okay, give that a good mix around, and then we want to add some more liquid. You might think at this point that it looks really good, okay, and you don't want to add any water because it'll make it too watery, but we're going to let this simmer, okay, simmer and reduce for the next 10 to 15 minutes. And when we reduce something, it does just that, okay? It reduces the water content and it intensifies the flavour. So there's no harm at this point adding extra water because it's going to evaporate, okay? It's going to reduce. So we're going to pop another 100 ml of water into there. Okay? Give it a really good stir around. And then we're going to let that simmer for about 10-15 minutes, okay? The longer you let that simmer and reduce and cook, the more intense the flavour is going to be, okay? Alright, I've just got a bit of curry paste left on my spoon, I'll just wash that off in there. Okay, so I'll let this simmer now, pop that on a medium heat, okay? I'm on electric, so I'm going with 3, you can pop it on 4, and if it starts to bubble too much, you can turn it down again, okay? So I'll just take that out. Let that simmer away. Just move it back over there. Alright. And now, once that's on, your curry's on simmering, what I'm going to do is take out of the oven the sweet potato and the cauliflower. I will show you what that looks like, and I'm just going to leave that on the side until I need it because I'm going to put it back into the curry, okay, and it will reheat in the curry. Alright guys, so this is the cauliflower and the sweet potato after 20 minutes of roasting. Everything is nice and soft. I've just poked them with a knife, okay, you can check them, make sure they're soft, okay? And you can see there's some lovely charred bits on there that all adds flavour. That's exactly how you want it. Okay, 20 minutes, and now we're just going to leave that. I'm going to pop it on my wooden chopping board, leave it on a heat-proof surface until we need it. Okay, now we're moving on to make the naan breads. This curry's got about 10-15 minutes left on it. I'm going to now transfer my curry pan to my hob, and I'll show you how to make the naan breads on this portable so you can see. Okay guys, so now we're moving on to the naan bread. Okay, now a little update on the yeast mix. You can see now it is super frothy. That's activated, that's working lovely. You're going to have some really nice airy naan breads. Okay, so we have to activate that first. Just pop that there. Now what you need is a bigger bowl. Okay, flour, We've got 300 grams of strong white flour. Okay, this is bread flour. It has a higher gluten content, so it gives you a better structure for making bread. Okay, so this is strong white. You can also get strong wholemeal, whichever you prefer. Okay, so that's in there. I'm going to add in half a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, baking powder, not bicarbonate of soda. Okay, so half a teaspoon of that. Again, that will help with the aeration, just like the yeast, so make it a bit fluffier. So just sprinkle that in. And you want about half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so just add that into there as well. Any salt will do. I've just got my salt grinder there, so I've just ground that in. Alright, so once those three things are in your bowl, what we need to do is make a well. Okay, so just create a hole in the centre, and I've got some melted butter. Okay, the recipe calls for 50 grams of butter, but I've split it in half. Okay, the other half we need later when the naan breads are cooked. We're going to spread it over the top. Okay, brush it over the top. You only want 25 grams of melted butter at this point, so don't add it all right now, just half of it. So I'll pop that into the centre. Okay, so that's the butter. So we've got 150 millilitres of yoghurt that goes in there as well. Okay, right into the centre. Okay, and then this is where you need to add your yeast mixture to. So all of this goes into one bowl, everything. Okay, and you'll smell that now. Alright, and now we're going to give that a really good mix. Okay, and once it's mixed well with the spoon or the spatula, we need to get our hands in and work it into a dough ball. Okay, now this is going to be really soft. It might be quite sticky at first. You might need to add a little bit of flour. Okay, so it's not so sticky. Alright, so let me move this. I'm just going to give my curry a stir. Just now and again stir your curry. Make sure everything's cooking down nicely. Now, I have here the bag of flour, because this is one of those things where you need to add a little bit more. You can add some to the surface, okay, and you need to just judge it. Okay, so we use our hands so we can judge how your dough is feeling. If it's a bit too sticky and it's sticking to your hands, moved away, haven't I? There we go. You can see it's not really sticking to my hands, it's only a little bit. Okay, sometimes it's super sticky, depending on whether you've measured your water accurately or not. Just add another little bit, and then I'll start to knead it on the surface and not in the bowl. Okay, so just work it together with your hands in the bowl first. You can of course keep it in the bowl if you don't want to create any mess on your side. Okay, you can knead it on there. Alright, so I'm just working that together with my hands. It will come into a nice soft dough ball. Okay, like this. You can see now it's not sticking to my hand. Alright, now we're just going to knead this for about 5 or 10 minutes. So just flour your surface. You don't want it to stick. Okay, a little more on top. Alright, you're just going to knead it. So you're using this bit of your hand. Okay, so you're going to push it forwards, you're going to fold it back over, you're going to turn it. Push, fold, turn. Okay, and keep kneading that, and it will get less and less sticky, and it will be nice and soft and elasticy. Okay, you can do it with both hands if you've done it before. Okay, and as you knead it more, it will get less sticky and softer, and you get a lovely soft elasticy dough. Okay, so I'm just pushing it, pulling it, turning it, push it, pull it, turn it. Okay, Okay, so after about 10 minutes, guys, you'll have a lovely soft elasticy dough. Okay, nice and squishy. What I'm going to do is pop that back in the bowl just for a second while I clean up a little bit and wash my hands, and then I'll come back and show you how to cook the naan breads. Okay guys, I am back. Alright, now whilst I was doing that, I just checked on my curry and it was getting a little bit thick. Okay, so you need to keep checking on it. Because we're not ready to serve yet, I've just added another splash of water just to loosen it up a little bit, and I'll put it on a low heat until we're ready to add our cauliflower and potato. Okay, so just add another splash of water, put it on low, and that'll be good. Okay, and it'll still be developing flavours. Alright, so you'll see here I have melted the other half of the butter, so that's 25 grams of butter. I've got myself a skillet. You can use a frying pan. Hold on, do you see that? Yep, okay. You can use a frying pan. I'm getting flour everywhere. That's not on, by the way. Don't touch your pan if it's on, that's not on. Alright, so I've got my dough. Okay, just had that sitting in there whilst I wash my hands a little bit. Alright, what we're going to do is roughly cut this into about 6. Okay. Just break it. You can weigh it and cut it if you want to. I tend to just eyeball it. Okay, and if you just hold it in your hand and twist it, it'll break off in a nice little ball. Okay, so I've got 6 nice sized dough balls. Alright, what we're going to do is roll them out and cook them in the skillet or the frying pan. So I will just put these to one side. We'll do one at a time. Okay, so over to this side, I've just got a little bit of foil, okay, a sheet of foil, and what this is for, once I've cooked one of them, okay, I'll pop it on the foil, I'll brush it with butter, I'll wrap it up to keep it warm while the rest of them are cooked. Okay, so flour down, you don't want it to stick, flour on top, okay, and I'm just going to press it with my hand, flatten it, okay. You can, if you want to, use a rolling pin. What you don't want is super thin naans, okay? We're not making flatbreads, we're making naans, okay? And you don't need to worry about the size of them or the shape of them. If you want to create that sort of teardrop, just grab it by 2 hands and let one side drop, okay? That's kind of your naan bread shape, that tear, okay? So if you want to, you can get these all rolled out first. I'll just do those and then I'll show you how we're going to cook them. Okay, they're all rolled out. I will just move the pots that I don't need out of the way. Okay, so my naan breads are rolled, okay, I've flattened them. Alright, we're going to cook these in a second. Before we do that, what I'm going to do, whilst the naan breads are cooking, I'm just going to transfer my cauliflower and my sweet potato into my curry so that can be cooking away while we cook the naan bread, and then they'll be ready to serve at the same time. Okay, so I'll just pop those into my curry. I'll just bring this around to show you because it's on my hob. Okay, so I've just mixed in the cauliflower and the sweet potato. I've added another splash of water just because it had thickened up a lot. You're in charge, you can control the consistency of your curry. If you like it thick, that's fine. If you like a bit more sauce, add a bit more water. Okay, so that's in my curry. I'm going to pop that back on while I cook the naan breads, and then we'll be ready to serve. Okay, moving on to the naan breads then. I'll move the camera a little bit so you can see the pan. Okay, to one side I've just got some foil. Alright, so once I've cooked, I'm going to pop it on there. I'm going to brush it with butter, wrap it up to keep it warm. So we need our pan nice and hot. Let's pop this back on. Okay, I've got that on 5, so I'll wait for that to get nice and hot. I'll take a naan bread. Okay. Just give it a couple of minutes. Do not test it's hot by touching the pan or putting your hand over the pan. Okay, just give it a couple of minutes and it will heat. Alright, so I'll just gently lay my first naan bread in there. Okay, and I've got a food slice to help me flip it if I need to. You can use tongs if you'd rather just grab it with tongs and flip it. I prefer the food slice to help me. Okay, so that will be cooking away under there. Should be able to move it. Okay, we're not adding any oil to the pan, we are dry frying this. Okay, so we want to give it about 3 minutes and then we'll flip it over. Okay, now to just check, you can put your food slice underneath, lift it up, and that's still quite white. Okay, so I'll lay that back down, give it another minute or so. And get those lovely areas of brown colour on your naan breads, and that's what we're aiming for. Hopefully it will start to bubble and get some nice air pockets in your naan bread. Okay, so that's smoking. I'm going to just flip that and see what it looks like. Okay, so you see the lovely patches of brown that are characteristic of your naan. We'll give it another 3 minutes. Now you can of course find recipes for some simple flatbreads online if you'd rather, that don't use the yeast or the yoghurt. But I just think this recipe is lovely. Your bread's really soft, it's really airy and fluffy. Okay, so you can see there, I've just flipped it. Now this has really puffed up, okay? So it was quite flat, and as it's cooked it's risen. The yeast has worked, the baking powder, okay, that's risen. So once you've got some nice brown marks on either side, I'll just cook that side a little bit longer. We'll take it off and we'll brush it with butter. Let's just check that one more time. Okay, I am happy with that colour. You can keep flipping it as many times as you want to until you're happy with it. Okay, you're in control. Take things slowly if you think you're getting a little bit flustered with the curry on and the frying pan on, you're doing the naan bread. Just turn everything off, take a minute. Okay, so I'll pop this onto the foil like this. Okay, now be very careful, that pan is very hot. So just very quickly I'm going to take the brush, the butter, and I'm going to brush it over the top. This adds flavour. Okay, gives it a really lovely soft texture too. Okay, so once you've brushed the top, just wrap that up to keep it warm while you do the rest. Okay, just flatten that out, pop your next one in. Okay, now my pan is super hot, so you might see it start to bubble a little bit more quickly. Okay, so you can see now the bubbles on the top. You see the air bubbles? That means my pan was hot enough this time. So flip it. Okay, and we'll just cook the other side. Okay, so this is my last naan bread. Okay, so I've cooked all 6. I probably sped that up a bit, just so you didn't have to watch me do that for 10 minutes. Okay. That side could do with a little bit longer, but I'll cook the other side first. Okay, and I've got them all wrapped up in my nice foil package. This is nice and hot, it will keep them warm to serve. Okay, hopefully guys you've followed along okay. You've all managed to make your curry and your naan breads. Please, please, please remember to send us some photos or show us at the end of this haul. Oh, that one's looking nice. We'll be there live at the end on Teams just to see how you've got on. Okay, so my last naan bread can go to my... There, look at that. Look at that. Can go onto my pile. Okay, so I'll put that on there. Give it one last bit of butter, just enough there. Cover it all across the top. No, what we're doing. Can you see? Okay, so just all the way around. Okay. Alright, so naan breads are done. I will just wrap those up. Okay. Okay, so we've finished the naan bread, guys. They are all wrapped up. They're staying nice and warm. And what I've done is transferred my pot with my curry in over here so that you can see. This no longer needs to go on any heat. This is fully cooked. Alright. There's just a couple of things to add at the end that are optional. Okay. The first is mango chutney. Alright, so I've just got one of these snack pots of the dips. Okay, so just a nice big spoon. Okay, and then into that you can add some fat-free yogurt. Okay, depends how creamy you like your curry. I'm just going to pop 1 spoon of that in. You can add 2 if you prefer it. Just add a spoon at a time and mix it in, and then you can decide if you want any more. Okay, so give that a really good mix through. Okay, and then that is ready to serve. Okay, make sure it's really well mixed. Alright, so I will bring over a serving plate or a bowl or whatever you want to do. Okay, let's do this so you can see. Alright, I'm going to get a nice big spoon of my curry into my bowl on my plate. Okay, like so. I'm going to grab one of my naan breads, okay, to serve it with, like this, and you've got a couple of extra options if you want to. It's not in the recipe, but just whatever you've got. A bit of yogurt on top, okay, put a bit of yogurt. I've got some of this raita. Just going to put a little bit of that on the top there, okay, and then I've got some fresh coriander that I will just break up and sprinkle across the top just to add a bit of colour but also flavour. Okay, coriander goes really well with the curry. And there it is, guys. That is your cauliflower and sweet potato curry served with a homemade naan, and of course feel free if you want to add some rice. Okay, but I just love my curry with a naan. Hopefully you all followed along okay with that. Hopefully it's turned out just as well, if not better, than mine. I hope you've had fun making it, have even more fun eating it, and make sure you join us at the end to show us your creations or send us some photos so that we can see how you did. Okay? Thank you for joining us tonight for our cook along, and I will hopefully see you soon. Bye everyone.